All right, so today we're going to be talking about how to turn low ticket buyers into high ticket clients. Because let's be honest, the main reason most of us are running these low ticket info funnels is to get more qualified people on the front end to then go and buy our higher ticket packages, which is usually like a high ticket coaching program or some form of done for you service. Now, there's two problems with this type of process. Number one, you have to try and create a product and sell a product that people actually want to buy. And then problem number two is actually turning those buyers into the high ticket clients on the back end. Because I think a lot of people who are now turning to low ticket funnels to get more qualified people through, and they just thought that, oh, I'm going to create a course or I'm going to create a tool, people are going to buy it. And then just because they are now a customer and they've bought from me once, they're going to automatically just buy my high ticket program. Even though like in theory, yes, the conversion rates from a low ticket buyer to a high ticket buyer is going to be better than a free lead to a high ticket buyer. A lot of people are turning to these funnels and they're finding that it's a lot more difficult than they thought it to be. And it's not just, hey, just because now you've bought a low ticket product from me, you're going to automatically buy my more expensive thing. You've got to be a little bit more strategic in that. So what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to run through the three main ways in which we ascend people from low ticket to high ticket. And there's basically like three ways in which we can do this. And on the screen right now, we've got one way here. We've got the second way here, and then we've got the third way here. So if you look at number one, this is kind of like the process most people send people through. So you're going to have traffic either from ads or organic social media. You're going to send people to the low ticket, they're going to buy. And then most likely you're going to have 1 to 2 upsells to get the average order value higher. And then after that, they'll land on a confirmation page. Now on this confirmation page, typically there'll be a video that says, hey, congrats for buying, log into the membership area. You can use a link below. So once they buy, you're going to send them a link to the membership area to log in, but most people will probably link them on this page as well. And they're just going to try and get them to consume the product, because if they consume the product, then they're going to get value, and therefore then they'll buy the high ticket stuff, which is true. But I also feel like on this page, you have this person's attention, and they're also in momentum. They've just bought at least one, maybe even a couple of products from you, and they're in that kind of like buyer's state. So I don't like to waste that energy and that momentum. So I like to try and get them to at least commit to a sales call right there on that page. So on this confirmation page, what we typically will have, and you could even just remove this and call it a VSL. And we'll have our VSL on this page. And this VSL is designed to get all the new buyers to book in a sales call. There's a couple of different approaches which you can use with this. So number one, the one that we start with, because this is going to get the most volume in, and then you can kind of decide what quality these people are. And then I'm going to show you a second way to do it where you'll probably get less calls, but it'll probably be more qualified people with more intent to purchase. So the first way we do it is, number one, we say, hey, you have like a complimentary onboarding call with your low ticket purchase. So if it's a course, for example, we would frame it and say, hey, one of our coaches will just onboard you. They'll get you logged into the membership area, and they'll basically walk you through the whole process and make sure you got access to everything. And if you've got any questions or anything like that, you can also ask them there on the call, and they'll help you get started. So it's just basically framed as like a big value call, and it's for free and it's complimentary. So you'll find that this gets a high uptake in calls booked, because people are like, yeah, I want to speak to a coach. Yes, like on top of just buying a product for $21, I'm also going to be able to speak to someone personally and get my questions answered. And then you can book them in for a call. And on that call, it's usually like an intro call. So yes, you will get on the phone with them, walk them through the membership area, answer their questions. But the whole goal of that call is to then get them booked in with a closer to get them to buy the high ticket product. So that's way number one. Now, again, this is going to get you a lot of calls booked on the calendar, but it might not be the most qualified people, because number one, at this point in time, they've not consumed the product, so they've not got value from the product yet. And number two, they're getting on there thinking it's just an onboarding call. So depending on the sophistication of the market, some people are just going to be completely surprised by the fact that you're trying to book them in for a second call as well to get them to buy a different product. So the conversion on this is going to be lower, but I typically start with this because you'd rather just get volume on the calendar and see what the process looks like and see what the conversion rates are. And then if for whatever reason the conversion rates aren't there or there's too many unqualified people, you can start adding resistance into the funnel to get more qualified people on there. So if that is the case, and you're not getting the qualified people that you want on the sales call, then you would change the framing. So you would change this call here, and you wouldn't call it an onboarding call anymore. You would go more direct with your offer, and you would say, hey, some people who purchase this product also want to get access to X, Y, and Z. And X, Y, and Z, if it's a coaching program, will be more like coaching, community, Q&A access, etc., to speed up the results. You would frame it properly, but that's kind of like the pitch. Or if it's a done-for-you service, obviously, again, you would just pitch the done-for-you service and the benefits of that versus them going through it by themselves through the low-ticket course themselves. And then you can get them to book in a sales call. Now, obviously, this is a bit more direct, and the people know that they're booking in for a sales call and there's something to buy on the end. So the conversion rates from buyer to sales call is going to be a lot lower, but the conversion rates on the actual sales call itself will most likely be a lot higher because these people have more intent to buy. So that's way number one. Way number two is pretty similar. So in the membership area, you're also going to have a section, and depending on your framing in part one, that's going to determine what it looks like in the membership area. So for example, what we used to do is we would have in step one, before they went through the course inside the membership area, they would log in, and the first like module or the first lesson would say like start here, and it would be an introductory video, which is essentially just the VSL. And the VSL welcomes them to the course. And then again, if it's an onboarding frame, you would say, hey, make sure before you start going through the content, booking your onboarding call, there's a coach on there, you can ask any questions, etc., etc. So again, inside the membership area now, we will then push people to book the sales call. And you can also integrate this a little bit in your low ticket product. So obviously in the membership area, you're going to have your product here, and inside like the product itself. So if it is like a course, again, at the end of the course, you can also drive people to the membership area. So after like one of the final lessons is to push people to the sales call. Or if the product is like, I don't know, like a PDF or like a tool or something, so it's not necessarily a course, inside that PDF, for example, again, you would have like a link to book in the onboarding call, and you would also have a link to book in, a sales call. Again, it depends on the framing, which one you want to go for. But whatever framing we have here, we typically mirror it inside the membership area. And again, we start with the onboarding angle, and if it doesn't work for whatever reason, we'll switch it to the more direct frame of like, hey, if you want more access, more help, more coaching, community, done for you service, then book in here. So they're the first two ways. Then the final way is with follow-up. So this is going to depend on, your team and the company. But typically, obviously, what we would have, which everyone should do, is you'll have email follow-up. So once someone purchases your low-ticket program, you're obviously going to send the first few emails that basically gets them to log into the membership area, encourage them to actually consume the content and from the low-ticket product so they actually get value from it. And then after that, then you can transition to pushing them to a sales call. And here, again, it depends. If you want to do the onboarding angle, you can send them a first few emails. In the first few emails, you can send them with a link to book in the onboarding call with the coach. But after that, you're going to transition very quickly into pushing it into a sales call. And you're just going to start pitching the sales call directly to either like get more information on the high ticket product or to apply for the high ticket product. Now, if you've got a sales team and you've got setters, then what you can do is as soon as someone purchases the low ticket product, you can have your setters or your sales team dial up all the buyers. And again, initially it's framed as, hey, want to make sure that you got access to everything okay. And then if they are on the computer or they're in a place where they can start accessing the product, then that setter can walk them through the onboarding call, they can qualify them, and then they can book them in for a sales call. If the person, is purchased and they're on the bus or they're in the supermarket and the setter dials them, then what they want to do is book them in for the onboarding call. So if they realize that they're not in a place to actually sit down and, speak for 5 to 10 minutes, then they can say like, hey, I just want to make sure that you've booked in your complimentary onboarding call with the coach. They're going to walk you through X, Y, and Z, and you can ask all your questions. And then they're going to book them in for the onboarding call. That either the setter or someone else will have the onboarding call. And then obviously the goal is to qualify them and book them in for the sales call. So they're like the three ways in which we can do it. I mean, every single person running an offer like this can do 1, 2, and 3. And then if you've obviously got a sales team, then you can implement like the sales follow-up as well. Obviously, if you've got dialers and setters who are hungry to dial the buyers, then that is going to get you the most volume through the funnel, right? If you've got like a sales team, but you can still make it incredibly profitable for you if you implement the other stuff. Now, there's one thing I want to mention here is that none of this is going to work that well if your low ticket product is trash, right? So a lot of people, they think just because they created a call, so just because someone's bought something from them, that they're automatically going to buy the higher thing. When the reality is, a lot of these people who come through this funnel, they are going to consume at least a little bit of the low ticket product before they make a buy decision for the high ticket product. I think some people think that even though we do put the VSL here on the funnel, some people think that just automatically, like the sales cycle is just 24 hours, and that someone who bought a low ticket product is going to then book in for a sales call the next day and then buy the 10K product, right? That's not going to happen. So a lot of the time with this funnel, it is more profitable because you're going to get more qualified people through the funnel, but sometimes that sales cycle is a little bit longer. Some people will buy a low ticket product in January and they'll only buy the high ticket thing in March. So that goes to say that a majority of your sales are realistically going to come from here. Well, not even that, and there's another thing we can put on the end of here is that when someone buys your low ticket product, they're going to be introduced to your brand. And what's going to happen is they're probably going to then follow you on social media. And over the next few months, even if they don't consume or use the low ticket product, they're going to start getting indoctrinated into you and your brand. And then eventually they're going to book in a sales call. So what you'll find is that you'll have sales calls on your calendar. You'll look at like the tracking and they might have booked in from like an Instagram link or a YouTube link. But if you look at the like first contact in your business, it was from like a low ticket product from ads or from social media. So sometimes there is a bit of a long-term play with this type of funnel. That goes to say that the point is that your low ticket product has to be good, right? If your low ticket product is trash, then none of this is really going to work because they're not going to trust you. Because realistically, if they buy a low ticket product from you for $21 and what you created wasn't even worth $21, then they're not going to buy a 10K thing. Because if they can't trust you to build a $21 product, they're not going to trust you to build a 10K product. So they're just not going to buy. And a lot of people, especially with AI, they're just like, oh, I'm just going to fucking put a few prompts into ChatGPT and create an ebook for $27. People are going to buy it and then they're just going to upgrade. And that is not right. So with your low ticket product, there's two ways in which you can approach it. Number one, you can solve like a micro problem that leads to the bigger problem. So for example, in like the ad space, I could maybe create a low ticket product that teaches people how to script Facebook ads or how to write Facebook ads, whether it be like text copy or video script copy. And then my high ticket product could be a done for you ad service or like a done with you ads coaching program, or maybe even just like a larger like coaching business program as well. So they come in, they consume the low ticket product, they realize that my process for writing ads is really, really good and they get value from it. And then they're like, okay, now I need to learn how to run the ads. Okay, I'm going to buy his high ticket thing. Or I just want someone to do this for me. I've seen how he writes his ads. I trust that process. I'm going to hire him to run the ads for me. So you can do like a micro problem like that, or it can be more like framing. And again, it depends on the market, the sophistication of the market, how much like they're exposed to these solutions. But if someone is like just problem aware and they're not aware of the solutions that can solve their problem, then you could create a low ticket product that doesn't necessarily solve the problem for them, but it just educates them on the different solutions that are available. And it educates them on the reasons why they're experiencing that problem. Now that in itself, even though they haven't got necessarily like tangible results, like in the first example where they have like a well-written like Facebook ad script, if you do that second process and you educate them on the problem and why they're experiencing it and providing the different solutions available, that in itself is like value enough because you've educated them and you've probably given them like an aha moment where they're like, oh, that's the reason why I'm struggling with this, or, oh, that makes sense now. I've never thought of it like that. That's the reason why X, Y, and Z. Or, oh, I didn't realize that was available. Okay, that's what I need to do. And then if your high ticket product has the solution, but that we've just educated them on, then that can also work, because they've gone through that process and they look at you as the person who has just been able to like explain what they have going on. And then they're going to look for you for the solution as well. But again, that does depend on the market, the niche, the product, how sophisticated it is, different competition, and stuff like that.